black man working 3 minimum wage jobs, raising a kid alone in that neighborhood. You're barely surviving, Mr. Owens. That's not parenting. White attorney Diane Crawford, didn't he just tear Samuel Owens' custody papers in half? She shredded them like they were proof of his failure. The pieces drifted to the courthouse marble like dead leaves. Samuel, 38, black single father with exhaustion carved into his bones, watched his daughter Maya cry from 10 feet away, her tiny sobs echoing through the cold hallway. 3 nights earlier, Samuel had been a silent, uncredited hero, one nobody wrote headlines about. Interstate 95. Midnight. Rain so heavy, it blurred headlights into smears of ghost white light. Samuel saw a stranded Mercedes on the shoulder, luxury car rocking under the storm. A white woman in a designer suit trapped inside, phone dead, tire blown, fear written across her face. Every car sped past like she was invisible. Samuel pulled over, no hesitation. He changed her tire in the freezing downpour, the rain soaking his only good clothes, mud splashing his shoes, his fingers numb and shaking. She tried to offer money. He refused like a man with nothing but dignity left to his name. Just help the next person, ma'am. He walked away before she learned his name. That terrified woman was Judge Eleanor Whitmore. And on Monday morning, she would walk into court, the judge deciding Samuel's custody case. He had saved her life in the dark. She would soon decide the future of his. Saturday morning, 6:15 a.m. Samuel's alarm screamed like it hated him. He slapped it silent. He stared at the water-stained ceiling of his cramped 1-bedroom apartment. 2 hours of sleep, warehouse shift, delivery route, custodian work, 3 jobs. 85 hours this week, all for Maya. He rose slowly, his muscles groaning like old machinery. He walked to the corner where Maya's room waited, frozen in time, her perfectly made bed, stuffed animals arranged by size, crayons organized by color on her tiny desk. Everything ready for the daughter who hadn't slept here in 6 months. The walls were covered in photos of Maya as a newborn. Maya's first birthday. Maya at the beach with her mother Sarah 3 years ago, back when life still made sense. But Sarah was gonna naughty months now. A car accident on a Tuesday. Plain, cruel, ordinary Tuesday. Samuel still couldn't drive past the intersection where she died. After the funeral, his world had collapsed. He'd stopped eating, stopped answering calls, stopped being a father. Social workers found Maya staying with neighbors while Samuel sat motionless in the dark. They took her away. It's an unstable home environment, the report said. They weren't wrong, not then, but that was 6 months ago. Samuel showered in the cramped bathroom, scrubbing warehouse dust from beneath his nails. He dressed with quiet ceremony, wearing his only decent shirt ironed at the 24-hour laundromat. Today mattered. Today was visitation day. It's 2 precious hours with Maya. 2 hours to show her he was fighting his way back to her. Community center. 9:00 a.m. The door flew open, and Maya raced toward him, yelling, "Daddy." Samuel lifted her, spinning her once the way he used to. It was 62 pounds of joy, sunlight and hope wrapped in pink sneakers. "Hey, baby girl, you grow another inch this week, maybe?" She giggled. "Miss Linda says, I'm tall for my age." Miss Linda, the foster mother. Samuel's smile thinned, just a fraction. "That's good, baby. You hungry? I brought your favorite." They sat at the cheap plastic table. He unpacked grilled cheese sandwiches, sliced into perfect triangles Maya style. Across the room, social worker Patricia Harris watched like a hawk with a clipboard. Always watching. Always evaluating every breath, every hug. "Daddy, when can I come home?" Samuel's heart stuttered. "Soon, baby. Monday's the big day." "Will I get to tell the judge I want to live with you?" "Maybe if they ask, I'll tell them anyway." Maya's chin lifted like her mother Sarah, full of fire, full of truth. Patricia approached. "Mr. Owens, may I speak with you?" Samuel followed her to the corner. Her eyes were kind, but tired 15 years in child services had taught her to hope carefully. "Samuel, I submitted my reports. You've been exemplary. Perfect attendance. Every requirement met. But I need to be honest." "What is it? Diane Crawford is aggressive?" "She'll argue, your finances are unstable. That working 3 jobs means you can't supervise properly. That Maya deserves a 2-parent home with savings. I've done everything they asked. I know. I documented it." But Judge Whitmore, Patricia paused. "She's fair, but she's strict. She prioritizes stability over sentiment. Prepare yourself." Samuel looked at Maya, humming softly, coloring with pink markers. "I can't lose her, Miss Harris." "Then Monday, you show that judge who you are now, not who grief turned you into." Saturday night, 11:45 p.m. Samuel sat at his kitchen table surrounded by document space tubs from all 3 jobs. Rental agreements showing 6 months of on-time payments, certificates from parenting classes, anger management training, child development courses, grief counseling. Each report card from Maya's visit stamped with excellent interaction. His public defender, Gregory Taylor, had called earlier. "Bring everything Monday, Diane. We'll attack your past, your finances, your apartment. We counter with proof of transformation. Samuel stared at Maya's drawing pinned to the refrigerator. 2 stick figures holding hands. Me and Daddy, written in shaky letters. The drawing was childish, but to Samuel, it was scripture. He'd been broken. Depression had gutted him after Sarah died. But watching them take Maya had ignited something primal. If he gave up, she would grow up believing she wasn't worth fighting for. So he fought. 3 jobs. Therapy twice a week. Every visit, every requirement, every humiliation. Monday would decide whether it had been enough. His phone buzzed. A message from Rose Benacera's mother, praying for you tomorrow. Sarah would be proud of you. Stay strong, he typed back. Thank you, Mama Rose. For Maya. His gaze drifted to the case file summary Gregory had given him. Owens v. Child Protective Services. Judge Honorable Eleanor Whitmore. Samuel read the name again. It meant nothing to him. He had no idea she was the same woman whose tire he'd changed in a storm while rain soaked through to his soul. 18 months earlier still haunted him like a ghost. Gray October sky. Sarah's funeral. Maya in a black dress too big for her tiny shoulders, gripping Samuel's hand so tightly her knuckles went white. The casket cherrywood brass handles, a payment plan he still owed unlowered into the frozen ground. Where's Mommy going, Daddy? He couldn't answer. His voice died in his throat. After that day, life blurred into fog. Maya slept wherever neighbors had space. Samuel missed 3 days of work, then 5, then a week. His supervisor called. Samuel let the phone ring. An eviction notice slid under the door. He didn't pick it up. One morning, he awoke on the couch, still in yesterday's clothes. Maya was eating cereal alone, wearing pajamas from 2 days ago. She'd gotten herself ready for school at 7 years old. Daddy, I'm scared. Of what, baby? You're sad all the time. Are you going to go away like Mommy? That question should have shattered Samuel awake. Should have pierced through the fog, the grief, the numbness. But he was too far gone. Not yet, not then. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. A hard knock at the door. Child Protective Services. To social workers. One police officer standing like a verdict. They had reports neighbors concerned about Maya's care. The school noting missed days and dirty clothes, the landlord documenting disturbances. Mr. Owens, we need to assess Maya's living situation. They walked the apartment like investigators at a crime scene. Dishes in the sink. Laundry scattered everywhere. Maya's unfinished homework on the table. Sarah's untouched belongings, frozen like a shrine he couldn't bear to disturb. Daddy, what's happening? Mr. Owens? We're placing Maya in temporary foster care while you address these concerns. No. Can't please, sir. Step back. Maya screamed for him, reaching, clawing toward him. A social worker carried her away while she sobbed, Daddy, Daddy, until her voice cracked. The door closed. Silence crushed the room. Samuel stood in an apartment that suddenly felt like the bottom of an ocean. 6 months ago, Rose Benacera's mother. Maya's grandmother found Samuel at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, sitting in the dark, unshaved, unemployed, eviction final. She didn't scold, didn't cry. She sat beside him, eyes sharp with the same fire that raised Sarah. My daughter didn't raise a quitter. Mama Rose, I can't. You think Sarah would want Maya believing her daddy didn't fight for her? You think that baby should grow up thinking she wasn't worth fighting for? That broke him. Really broke him. Cried like a man drowning after months underwater. Rose held him with the strength of a mother who had already survived the unimaginable. You get one more day to grieve like this, she whispered. Tomorrow you fight. Tomorrow you become the father Sarah believed you could be. Something clicked. Something shifted. Something woke up. The next morning, Samuel rose at 5 o'clock a.m. He showered, shaved, made calls. He found a warehouse job starting Monday. Found a studio apartment he could barely afford, called CPS, and asked what he needed to do to get Maya back. The list felt endless: stable housing, steady employment, parenting classes, therapy, supervised visitation, psychological evaluation, home inspections, and then 6 months of perfect compliance. And then, he asked, then a judge decides whether you've done enough. So Samuel started climbing. Present day, Saturday afternoon. Samuel stood outside the warehouse where he'd worked for 5 months. His supervisor, Mrs. Sullivan, had scripted one of his character references. He remembered day 1 hands bleeding from box cutters, back locking up by hour 6 of an 8-hour shift. He'd nearly quit until he pictured Maya's face. That thought alone dragged him through. Now he worked 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. here, delivery driving 3 to 8, custodian work 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. on weekends. Sleep when the universe allowed. Repeat. People called it dedication. Samuel called it survival. State attorney's office. Same afternoon, Diane Crawford reviewed the Owens file with her assistant, a young lawyer named Preston. Single black father, 3 low-wage jobs, 1-bedroom apartment in a rough area. Documented depression after wife's death, 1 substance use incident 18 months ago, Preston summarized. Diane tapped the psychiatrist report. This is textbook high risk. He's met every requirement for 6 months, Preston said gently. 6 months versus a stable 2-parent foster home teacher and accountant. Savings, 4-bedroom house, no psychiatric history. Diane closed the folder like it was a foregone conclusion. The law is clear. Best interest of the child. Maya Henderson Owens, Preston corrected softly. Diane's eyes sharpened. Maya deserves stability this man can't provide. 1 car repair, 1 medical emergency, 1 missed paycheck, and he's homeless again. She stood, smoothing her blazer. Judge Whitmore is fair, but not sentimental. She'll see what I see: a father who loves his daughter, but can't protect her from his own instability. What if he's changed? Preston asked carefully. Diane's smile turned cold. People don't change. They just learn to hide their flaws better. Monday, I'll make sure the judge sees the truth. Monday morning. Federal Courthouse. Samuel stood at the marble steps at 7:30 a.m., an hour early. The courthouse towered above him, columns reaching like a challenge, flags stiff in the November wind, stone eagles gripping justice scales. Architecture designed to make men like him feel small. It worked. His thrift store suit felt thin. Gregory's borrowed tie was too short. His shoes were a decade old, polished until the cracks pretended not to exist. Inside, security had him empty his pockets. Step through metal detectors. Prove he belonged in a place that spent most days telling him he didn't. Lawyers in $1,000 suits glided by effortlessly. Samuel stood with the others who looked like him: defendants, witnesses, people on the wrong end of the system. Gregory Taylor met him at the elevator. White, 32, carrying 60 active cases, eyes full of exhaustion and genuine care. You ready? No. Good. Nervous looks honest. He handed Samuel a folder. Remember, answer only what's asked. Don't volunteer. Don't react emotionally. Diane will try to provoke you. Stay calm. What about the judge? Eleanor Whitmore. 20 years on the bench. Former prosecutor, known for being thorough, impartial, and strict in custody cases. She won't care about tears or stories. She wants proof. They rode to the 5th floor family court. The hallway smelled like nerves and industrial cleaner. Samuel saw them near courtroom 5C. James and Linda Henderson, the foster parents, early 40s, white, looking like they'd stepped out of a church brochure. Good people, honest faces. They had taken Maya when no one else could. Between them, Maya, blue dress he'd never seen. Hair in perfect braids he hadn't done. She looked healthy, happy. Daddy? She ran to him. Samuel dropped to his knees, catching her like she was oxygen. Hey, baby girl, are you taking me home today? Before he could speak, Patricia Harris approached. Maya, honey, come back here. But I want to talk to my daddy. I know, sweetheart. Soon, she gently guided Maya back. She mouthed silently to Samuel, good luck. The courtroom door opened. Diane stepped out, saw Samuel, and smiled like a predator smelling blood. Mr. Owens, ready for today? Samuel stayed silent. Wise choice. Save your words for the judge. You'll need them. Gregory whispered. Don't engage. She wants to rattle you. A bailiff called out. Owens versus Child Protective Services. All parties, please enter. Samuel's heart pounded like a drum of war. Inside, the courtroom was smaller, quieter, more intimate than TV courtrooms. Wood paneling, the state seal, an empty jury box. One person's decision would define his future. Maya sat in the gallery with the Hendersons. Diane took her position, confident, organized. Samuel took his, terrified but standing tall. All rise. Everyone stood. Judge Eleanor Whitmore entered from the side door. Samuel looked up. The world stopped. It was her, the woman from the highway, the Mercedes, the rain, the shredded tire. Judge Eleanor Hartman's gaze swept the courtroom and collided with Samuel's. She froze. Her fingers tightened around the gavel, not visibly, but enough for Samuel to notice. Recognition flashed in her eyes like a lightning strike no one else saw. 3 silent seconds stretched into a lifetime. Samuel felt every heartbeat like a courtroom drum. Should I say something? Does she remember? Is this fate or disaster? Eleanor's face reset into something carved from stone, professional, unreadable, armed with neutrality. She inhaled once, slow, as if locking her emotions away behind judicial armor. She sat, opened the file. When she spoke, her voice was steady enough to cut marble. This court is now in session in the matter of Owens versus Child Protective Services. Counselors, are both parties ready to proceed? Gregory rose. Ready, Your Honor. Diane rose. Eddie as well. Eleanor's eyes flicked to Samuel one more time. Quick, sharp, guilty, then gone. Let's begin. Diane Crawford buttoned her suit jacket and approached with a confidence that filled the entire courtroom. Your Honor, the state will demonstrate that while Mr. Samuel Owens loves his daughter, and we do not dispute his love, alone is not parenting. Maya requires stability, safety, and predictability. Mr. Owens, unfortunately, provides none. A remote clicked. A screen descended with a mechanical hum. Slide 1. Employment history. Mr. Owens works 3 jobs, Diane said. Warehouse laborer, delivery driver, custodian, total weekly hours. 85. That is 85 hours he is unavailable for an 8-year-old child. Gregory rose. Working hard to provide is not a flaw, it's a logistical impossibility, Diane countered. Who supervises Maya at 1:00 a.m. when he's working the night shift? Slide to financial stability. Numbers appeared. Cold, clinical, ruthless. Income, $3,200 monthly. Rent, $1,200. Food, $400. Transport, $300. Leftover, barely $200. One emergency, Diane said. And this entire structure collapses. Slide 3. Housing conditions. Images of graffiti, broken doors, dim hallways filled the screen like a prosecution weapon. This, she said, is where Mr. Owens proposes to raise a child. Gregory objected. Diane, environment matters, Your Honor. Slide for psychiatric history. Samuel's stomach twisted. Diane's tone softened not with empathy, but with precision. 16 months ago, Mr. Owens was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. His psychiatrist documented hopelessness and impaired functioning. Gregory shot up. During acute grief after his wife's death, grief doesn't erase risk factors, Diane snapped. Life will produce another crisis. State must consider who pays the price when it does. She sat. Her final sentence hung in the air like a blade. The state recommends terminating parental rights and approving the Henderson adoption. Samuel felt the words pierce, him terminating forever. Eleanor didn't react. Her judicial mask never cracked. Mr. Taylor, she said, you're opening. Gregory stood, firm, steady, the only anchor Samuel had left. Your Honor, the state has painted my client as a walking disaster, but here are the facts. He listed Samuel's achievements, every requirement completed, every visit attended, every class finished, every therapy session honored, 6 months of consistency, discipline, rebuilding. Mr. Owens is not asking for forgiveness, Gregory said. He's asking for recognition of his transformation. Eleanor reviewed the documents with the same unreadable expression. Call your first witness. The defense calls Samuel Owens. Samuels. Steps to the stand felt like walking through water, heavy, slow, unavoidable. The bailiff swore him in. His hand trembled as it touched the Bible. Did Eleanor remember the rain-soaked road, the tire, the near accident? The moment she owed him her life? Gregory began. Mr. Owens, your current employment? Samuel answered, voice gritty but steady. 3 jobs, to provide for Maya. Questions, answers. He spoke of childcare plans. Realistic adjustments. Grandma rose. Sacrifices. Structure. Discipline. Diane rose like a shark smelling blood. Her cross-examination sliced clean and fast. You already failed your daughter, didn't you? Yes. You showed up intoxicated to work? Yes. You think 4 hours of sleep is sustainable? Silence. Jaw tight. You think love can replace stability? She painted him as fragile, exhausted, one crisis away from collapse. Objections flew, some sustained, some overruled. Samuel held himself together with sheer will. Then Judge Eleanor leaned forward. Mr. Owens, she said quietly, I have one question. The entire room shifted. Tell me about a recent moment, she said, when you demonstrated good judgment under pressure. Not rehearsed, not prepared. Something real. Samuel's breath caught. She remembered, and now she wanted to see who he really was. Not the file, not the slides, not the statistics. The man. A real moment, Samuel repeated silently. He could mention the highway, the rain, the blown tire, her Mercedes. That surreal night where he saved Judge Eleanor Hartman without knowing who she was. But saying it now would feel like manipulation. It's a cheap way out. He wouldn't do that. Not here. Not to her. Steady exhaled. Last month, during a supervised visit, Maya got sick. Fever hit 103. The social worker was late arriving. I could have panicked. I didn't. I stayed calm, got her to urgent care, followed every protocol, contacted CPS immediately, documented everything. Maya was okay. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about hearings or checklists. I was just being her father. Quiet spread like a blanket. Eleanor made a note slowly, deliberately. Gee, Mr. Owens. Did her expression soften? Did she see him the real him? Samuel couldn't tell. Diane stood instantly. Irrelevant, Your Honor. Overruled, Eleanor said. Firm. Protective. Character is always relevant in family court. For the first time in days, a spark of hope warmed Samuel's chest. Day 2. Character witnesses. Gregory called Rose Bennett first. 70 years old, spine straight, Sunday church hat angled with pride. Sarah's mother. A woman carved from faith and grief but unbroken. Bennett, how would you describe Samuel's transformation? Rose looked directly at Eleanor and blinking, unafraid. Judge, I watched that boy collapse after we lost my daughter. I don't blame him. She was his whole world. But 6 months ago, I told him Sarah didn't raise a quitter. I already do, Rose replied. Next came Patricia Hendress, veteran social worker. In 15 years, she said, I've never seen a parent work harder. Mr. Owens shows up early, completes every task, exceeds every requirement, and his interaction with Maya is exemplary. Diane pounced. But you still recommend supervision, don't you? That's protocol, not concern, Patricia snapped. So you do have concerns? I have protocol, Patricia repeated sharply. Finally, Mrs. Sullivan, his warehouse supervisor. Most reliable employee I have, she said. Never late, never complains. Works harder than men half his age. When I asked why he pushes so hard, he showed me a photo of his daughter, said she's my reason, that's who he is. By the end of the day, even Diane's confidence dimmed. Lohner addressed the courtroom, voice even but not cold. I've heard compelling testimony. I'm inclined to grant Mr. Owens a 6-month transition plan toward increased custody, pending successful completion. Samuel felt his heart lift. Maya smiled from the gallery, bright, hopeful. But Eleanor continued. However, I will hear closing arguments tomorrow. The state may present additional evidence. Diane stood immediately, Your Honor. The state requests one more day. Granted. Court resumes at 9 a.m. Hope and dread twisted together inside Samuel. What else could she possibly have? Day 3. The ambush. Diane entered with a new folder and a smile that warned of war. Your Honor, the state presents additional evidence directly affecting Mr. Owens' parental fitness. Exhibit A. Neighborhood. Crime statistics. Slides flashed. Maps. Charts. Numbers sharpened like knives. Mr. Owens lives in a census tract with crime rates 43% above average. 12 assaults, 6 break-ins, 3 drug arrests. All within 2 blocks. Gregory Rose doesn't control crime rates, but he chooses where to live. Diane cut in. It's 6 months to find safer housing. Chose not to. Because safer neighborhoods cost more, Gregory argued. Exactly, Diane said coldly. And that brings us to Exhibit B. Exhibit B, financial forensics. A spreadsheet appeared, showing the truth stripped of dignity. Mr. Owens' surplus isn't $200 a month. It's $187. One car repair costs $340. He had to borrow from his mother-in-law. Rose flinched. This proves our point, Diane said. He is one crisis away from collapse and Maya would suffer. Gregory stood. My client works 85 hours, which leads us to Exhibit C, medical records. Samuel felt ice slide into his veins. These records show not just depression, Diane said, but passive suicidal ideation, feelings of worthlessness, and substance use as a coping mechanism. The room fell silent. Mr. Owens told this court he showed up intoxicated once. But his termination report documents to warnings before he was fired. Samuel's vision narrowed. His pulse roared. This is a pattern, Diane said mercilessly. Under pressure, he collapses. Parenting an 8-year-old is constant pressure. Eleanor's face remained unreadable stone protecting a storm. Miss Crawford, she said, any additional witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Diane turned. State calls Thomas Reed. Samuel's stomach dropped as his former supervisor approached the stand balding, uncomfortable, but ready to speak. Diane wasted no time. Mr. Reed, why was Mr. Owens terminated? Reed swallowed. He showed up intoxicated, slurred speech, smelled like alcohol. I sent him home. The wound tore open, again old shame dragged into new sunlight. And the ambush had only begun. Had you warned him before? Yes, Reed answered. Twice. Once for being late, and once for erratic behavior. Did Mr. Owens tell you he was grieving? He did. I gave him time off. But he came back worse. Diane turned to the judge, voice sharpened like steel. Your Honor, this testimony establishes a pattern of collapse under crisis. The question is simple. Can we trust he will not revert the moment the next crisis arrives? Gregory cross-examined, but the damage hung like smoke. The question that could break him, Mr. Owens, Eleanor said. Approached the bench. Samuel moved as though the floor tilted beneath him. For the first time in the entire hearing, Eleanor looked at him without the judge's mask, her eyes searching, conflicted, wounded by duty. Mr. Owens, she said softly, I need you to be completely honest. Do you believe you're ready to be a full-time parent? Yes, Your Honor. Why should I believe that? She asked when the evidence suggests otherwise. Samuel's throat closed. His voice cracked like a man confessing his soul because his eyes glistened. Because Maya is the reason I'm still alive. The courtroom stilled. When they took her, I wanted to die, he whispered. But I realized if I gave up, she'd think she wasn't worth fighting for. She'd think I didn't love her enough. So I fought. I'm still fighting. I'll fight until my last breath. Fighting, Eleanor said carefully, is not the same as being capable. I know, Samuel breathed. That's why I did everything. The classes, the therapy, the jobs, not to check boxes. To become the father she deserves. Eleanor leaned back, face granite again. This court will recess. Closing arguments tomorrow at 9 a.m. I will render my decision then. As she stood, her eyes flicked to Samuel just once. A second to long, a second to human. Hallway, the breaking point. 5 minutes later, Maya sprinted to him, tears streaking her face. Daddy, what's happening? He dropped to his knees, holding her tight. It's okay, baby. They're saying you can't take care of me. That's not true. You're the best daddy. Linda Henderson approached gently. Sweetie, let's give your dad some space. No, I want my daddy. Samuel nearly shattered. Maya, listen, he whispered, cupping her face. No matter what happens, I love you. This isn't about you. You are perfect. You hear me? Perfect. She sobbed into his chest. Patricia approached, voice soft with guilt. I'm sorry. We need to go. As she pulled Maya away, the child screamed, Daddy, don't let them take me again. Samuel stood alone in the hallway, empty, hollow, destroyed. Gregory joined him. We're not done. Tomorrow, we both know, Samuel murmured. She's going to rule against me. You don't know that I saw her face. That night, the judge who couldn't sleep, Eleanor. Whitmore sat in her home office, case file open, wine untouched. She reread the evidence. Again. The law was clear. Higher risk father, vulnerable child, stable alternative placement. The duty was clear, protect Maya. But the memory of the highway clung to her Rain. The blown tire, the man who helped her with no agenda, no recognition, no hesitation. Character when no one is watching. Did that matter against psychiatric reports and spreadsheets? She didn't know, and it terrified her. At 2 a.m., sleep still refusing her, she reopened the file. Something felt off. Diane's evidence was strategic, selective. Where were the actual supervised visit reports? Eleanor pulled every observation Patricia had documented. Visit 1, father early, brought homemade lunch, engaged child in educational play. Warm, appropriate, is it 8? Child asked why she couldn't go home. Mother emotional but composed. Reassured child, visit 24 homework. Patience, encouragement, 0 concerns. 24 perfect visits. These weren't the actions of a negligent father. These were the actions of a man clawing his way back to life. What was she missing? Dawn, the decision to break the rules at 6 a.m., Eleanor did something she had never done in 20 years as a judge. She left her bench behind. Samuel's building, 7:30 a.m. in plain clothes, jeans, jacket, hair pulled back. She approached the apartment building.
Outside.
Rough, graffiti, broken lock, exactly like the photos. Inside, she saw through a cracked open door as maintenance entered Samuel's unit. Immaculate floors, organized shelves. Maya's room perfectly made, decorated with care only a loving parent would give. An elderly man shuffled toward her. You looking for someone? I'm considering renting, she said. What's it like here? Andrew Wilson, 73, tapped his cane. Neighborhood's rough, but this building, good people. See that unit? Samuel's best neighbor I got. Helps everyone. Carried my groceries last week. Fixed my sink, checks on us old folks. Man's a saint. He has a daughter. Sweetest kid alive. Breaks my heart she can't live with him. System's cruel sometimes. Eleanor swallowed. Thank you. Community center to 9 a.m. Security footage requested. Authorized. 6 months of supervised visits. She fast-forwarded through the hours. Samuel lifting Maya to tie her shoes. Samuel comforting her when she cried. Samuel teaching her math. Samuel brushing her hair. Samuel laughing. Samuel listening. Samuel showing up every single time. Not a single moment of instability. Not one. And Eleanor's heart cracked under the weight of truth she was no longer allowed to ignore. Samuel showed up early in every single video. Clip never rushed, never distracted, just a father arriving like the moment itself was sacred. Each frame radiated presence. Homemade Tupperware lunches, gentle jokes, his voice low and steady as he helped Maya spell tricky words. Correct math mistakes, sound out paragraphs. He made her laugh until she snorted. When she suddenly broke down missing her mother, he didn't flinch. Held her, rocked her, hummed through the pain, swallowing his own tears so she wouldn't carry his. It wasn't acting. It wasn't performance. It was devotion. Eleanor moved through his workplaces next, disguised as an inspector. But really, she was hunting truth. At the warehouse. He never complains. Works harder than all of us. Talks about his little girl nonstop. At the delivery company. Best driver we've got. Takes the hardest route, says he's saving for his daughter's college. At the janitorial job. Cleanest floors in the state. Man takes pride in everything. Every site confirmed the same thing. Samuel didn't just work. He showed up for life the same way he showed up for his daughter. At 2 p.m., Eleanor found Patricia, off duty, coffee in hand. Off the record, Eleanor said quietly, Is Maya safe with her father? Patricia hesitated, then the truth slipped out. Judge, Maya belongs with her dad. But that's not what the system measures. It measures failure, not love. And finally, Eleanor felt clarity cut through the statistics like sunlight through fog. By the time she returned home, her mind was steady. Sure, Diane's case was built on fears, papers, probabilities. Samuel's case was built on change, sacrifice, and relentless quiet love. That night, Eleanor drafted the ruling, then tore it apart, then drafted it again. Because she finally understood this wasn't a case. This was a choice between what was safe on paper and what was right in reality. Day 4. Final arguments. The courtroom buzzed like a live wire. Reporters, community members, everyone waiting to see if the system could see a man beyond his worst chapter. Diane argued first sharp, confident, clinical, risk factors, instability, financial insecurity, crisis mismanagement. The Hendersons offer a safer home. Gregory rose next, voice cutting clean through the room. If redemption doesn't count, then what's the point of trying? 6 months, 24 perfect visits, 3 jobs, a father rebuilt from the ground up. If that's not enough, nothing ever will be. Before Eleanor could respond, her clerk whispered something. Emotion. From herself. A rare, judicial move. She wanted to interview Maya. Alone, Diane objected. But Eleanor shut it down with a single line. It's within my discretion. Judge's chambers, Maya's feet dangled from the leather chair. Eleanor knelt. You're not in trouble. I just want the truth. And Maya, teeny, trembling, courageous, spoke it. I miss my daddy every day. He never scares me. He always makes me feel safe. The Hendersons are nice. They're not my family. When asked about the small apartment or the unsafe neighborhood, Maya whispered the line that broke Eleanor open from the inside. I don't need big things. I need my daddy. Back in court, the ruling, Eleanor returned with a thick folder, face unreadable. She began with the state's argument. All risk. All statistics. All reasons to be afraid. Then her tone sharpened. But the law asks me to judge reality, not fear. She revealed the 24 perfect reports. She revealed Maya's honest, unwavering love. She revealed her own independent investigation. She revealed the man behind the numbers, strong, steady, transformed. And then she revealed the highway incident. The courtroom froze. That man who risked himself to help a stranger was Samuel Owens. Character isn't what you show when watched. It's who you are when you think no one will ever know. Diane turned pale. Samuel's breath hitched. Eleanor lifted the gavel. Mr. Owens doesn't perform goodness. He lives it. Love with action is enough. Dedication is enough. Character is enough. Mr. Samuel Owens has proven both eligibility and worth. The gavel struck. Eleanor's voice steadied, firm and full of finality. This court grants full custody to the father, effective immediately. 6-month review for continued stability. The Henderson adoption petition is denied. Maya Owens will return to her father tonight. The courtroom exploded into noise gasps, cries, whispers. Samuel didn't just cry, he crumbled. Collapsing forward with a sound pulled straight from the deepest place, grief and hope collide. Gregory grabbed his shoulder just to keep him upright. From the gallery came one voice, raw, high and breaking. Daddy. Maya pushed past the bailiff in pure instinct. Samuel lifted her before she even stopped running. And the two melted into each other, crying like people who'd survived something no one else could understand. We're going home, baby, he whispered into her hair. We're finally going home. Across the room, Eleanor watched eyes shining, despite her training, her posture, her robe. Diane packed her files in silence, defeated, knowing this wasn't just a loss. It was justice. As the room emptied, Eleanor approached Samuel quietly. Whitmore, I don't know how to... You changed my tire, she said softly. You didn't know my name. You didn't want anything. You just helped. That told me more about your character than any testimony. I didn't do it too, I know, she whispered. That's why it mattered. She handed him a photo, Samuel and Maya, laughing during a supervised visit. A moment of pure joy captured before either of them knew the world would shift back in their favor. For your wall, she said. Samuel held the photo like something holy. Thank you for seeing me, he said, voice barely steady. Thank you, Eleanor replied, for being worth seeing. 2 weeks later, a safer neighborhood. A small apartment? A new start? Samuel and Maya arrived with boxes and hope. Rose Bennett carried bags of groceries. Patricia brought a housewarming plant. Gregory showed up with pizza and a rare, unguarded smile. Maya ran through the apartment like it was a castle. Daddy, can I paint my room purple? Whatever color you want, baby. That night, Samuel tucked her into bed, her new bed. In her new room, surrounded by stuffed animals and drawings taped everywhere. Daddy, she whispered. Yes, baby. Are you happy? Samuel swallowed. I'm the happiest man alive. Me too, Maya whispered. I knew you'd never give up. Never, baby girl, he said, kissing her forehead. 6 months later, review hearing. Patricia read from her report like she was reading a success story she always hoped the system would allow. Maya is thriving. Home environment stable. Bond stronger than ever. Academic performance improved. No concerns. I recommend terminating supervision. Eleanor smiled an actual smile. Mr. Owens, you've exceeded every expectation. This court closes its supervision. You're free to just be a father. Samuel tried to thank her. No need, she said. You've already said everything through the way you live. Outside, Samuel lifted Maya onto his shoulders. Where to, Daddy? Scream. What are we celebrating? Freedom, baby, he said. We're finally free. 1 year later at Sarah's grave, father and daughter placed Daisy's her favorite. I told Mommy everything, Maya said. At the court. About coming home? And what did you tell her? Samuel asked. That you never gave up, just like she would have wanted. Samuel's voice softened. You know what I believe? What? I think Mommy sent that judge to us that night. She knew we needed someone to truly see us. Maya considered. Maybe Mommy helped people, so maybe she helped us too. They stood together, hand in hand, then walked back to the car lighter, steadier, whole. 5 years later, middle school graduation, purple dress. District-wide award for her essay, My Hero, My Dad. Rose Bennett clapped proudly. Patricia wiped a tear. Gregory gave a discreet nod. And in the back row, quiet, private, proud, sat Judge Eleanor Whitmore, who had never missed a single milestone in Maya's life since that ruling. After the ceremony, Maya ran to her father. Daddy, did you see? I'm proud of you every day, Samuel said, pulling her close. Then Maya turned and hugged Eleanor. Judge Whitmore, you came. Wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetheart. Samuel approached Eleanor. Thank you for everything, he said. Thank you, she replied. For proving what I always hoped, that character counts. She still kept that highway photo on her desk. Full circle moment that night, Samuel and Maya drove home. On the highway Fate's favorite setting, they saw a stranded car. Flat tire, dead phone, young woman, scared. Daddy, Maya said, someone needs help. Samuel smiled, soft and knowing. Come on, Maya, let's show you how it's done. They pulled over together just like he once did for a stranger who became the judge who changed their lives. As they drove away, Maya asked, Daddy, why do we always stop? Samuel looked at her with quiet pride. Because someone once stopped for us, he said. It changed everything. If this story touched your heart, you're in the right place. This is Fate Tales, where we bring you real, raw, emotional stories about kindness, justice, redemption, and second chances. Hit like, subscribe, and comment with a moment when someone's kindness changed your life. Your engagement helps us grow, so we can bring you more powerful stories every week. Fate Tales, because every life turns on a single moment of fate.